Hello again, welcome to the Richard and Judy Book Club in association with W.H. Smith. And our next book is this. It's called The Snowchild, and it's written by Eowyn Ivey, who is a lady, although I didn't know the name before. And it's absolutely compelling. I loved it. It's a sort of fairy story, except it's not, it's real. But it's based on a very old Russian folk tale, a legend in which a couple, an elderly couple, are desperate to have a child, have been all through their lives. Now they're too old, they know they can't have a child, and they are surrounded in this Russian forest that they live in with other families, with a village full of children, and they become more and more bitter and resentful. I won't go much further, but they think they've found a child at last who is fashioned out of snow. Now, to bring it back to reality, The Snowchild is about a real couple who are living in Alaska in 1920s, I think it's around about the 1920s, and they too can't have children. And she did have one child, and he was stillborn. And Mabel, the mother, has never, ever got over it. They're both locked in grief, which is why they go to Alaska, to get away from their family and the friends. At the time, there was a huge financial incentive from the American government to settle this new frontier of theirs. And Alaska is seen as a snowy, beautiful wilderness. It's astoundingly beautiful, and that comes over very much in the book. One day, Jack and Mabel, Jack's her husband, they go outside and they build a snow child, a snow girl. And because it's the first snow of the winter, and they go to bed, and when they wake up, the snow child has gone, disappeared, presumably melted. But then Jack begins to notice a child, a small child in this very isolated wilderness in which they live, flitting in and out of the trees in the forest. And after that, well, the story unfolds. Unfortunately, Eowyn couldn't be here with us today, but we did ask her some questions about the book earlier.
So the moment of inspiration for The Snowchild really came to me one evening when I was working at the bookstore I work at in Palmer, Alaska. It's just a small independent fireside books. And I was shelving books in the children's section. I came across this little paperback, very simple retelling of the Snegorochka fairy tale for children. And I read it standing there among the shelves, and it really was sort of a lightning bolt moment for me. I realized that this was a story that was perfect for me to tell. It was set in a landscape like I had grown up in a northern wilderness. And it had a magical quality I think I was always looking for. And so I abandoned a completely different novel I had been working on for almost 5 years and began writing The Snowchild, and had a first draft in about a year. Much of Alaska is really very similar to how it was in the story that I tell in the 1920s. Vast stretches of Alaska are largely uninhabited, or very rural areas like we live in, where people live on 20-acre parcels. Now, Anchorage and some of the larger cities, Anchorage and Fairbanks, are very modern cities with all the conveniences that you have in most cities, public transportation and different things. But our lifestyle is very much similar to Jack and Mabel's in a lot of ways. By choice, we choose to live a life that involves heating with wood heat, harvesting salmon, hunting for caribou and moose, picking blueberries. And so it really wasn't a matter of research as I wrote it. I tried to base it very much on my own life growing up in Alaska. It's really interesting to me to see how much around the world there seems to be more interest and fascination with the snow and ice of a place like Alaska. Growing up there, I certainly took it for granted. But now with my book out, I find that people are interested to learn more about what it's like to live in a place that for 6 months out of the year, there's snow and ice. I'm curious to know sometimes what it is about our culture right now that we're interested in it. I wonder if perhaps part of it isn't the fear of global warming, that these places in large part might be in danger and become somewhat more precious then, and that maybe we yearn to capture that snow and ice while we can.
Our thanks to Eowyn Ivey. As Judy says, it's a spellbinding book. You'll absolutely love it. And as with all the W.H. Smith books that we recommend, at the back you've got details on how to download our podcasts, lots of extra material as well as the interviews that you see, also the question and answer session that we always have on the page between us and the author. And brand new from this autumn, it's the Book Club app. You simply download the app to your smartphone, you go into W.H. Smith's, you point the phone at one of the books that we're recommending, and we'll pop up on the screen and we'll tell you all about it. We'll give you a little verbal review. So, hey, what's not to enjoy?